Pay attention. What I'm going to share contradicts everything you believe about winning a woman back, everything people advised you, everything the internet says, everything your gut tells you to do in this moment. It's completely incorrect. And that's the reason you're paralyzed. That's the reason she remains absent. That's the reason each passing day feels like drowning in quicksand. But here's what no one has the courage to say. She's going to return, not perhaps, not potentially. She's going to return, but exclusively if you follow precisely what I'm going to reveal. And I'm cautioning you now. It's going to seem counterintuitive. It's going to seem incorrect. It's going to contradict every instinct you possess. But if you can internalize this, if you can genuinely become what I'm teaching you right now, she won't simply return. She'll be magnetically pulled back. Before we continue, subscribe to this channel immediately. The majority of men will consume this content and take no action. They'll agree mentally, experience temporary inspiration, then immediately resume stalking her profile and questioning why she hasn't messaged. You're different. Click that subscribe button and let's initiate your evolution. You're constantly rewinding the relationship mentally. You're dissecting every interaction, every disagreement, every instance where things fractured. You're composing the ideal message you'll never actually send. You're rehearsing the monologue you'll deliver when she eventually hears you out. You're designing your dramatic gesture, your cinematic moment that will show her what she abandoned. Stop. Immediately stop. Every moment you invest in that behavior, you're creating more distance. Every contemplation about understanding female psychology every hypothetical you construct, every time you verify if she watched your content, you're energetically pursuing her. And she senses it. Believe me, she senses it. Even if you haven't initiated contact in months, even if you erased her information, even if you declared to everyone you've progressed, she detects that you're emotionally frozen on her. And that vibration, that anxious, dependent, incomplete, without you vibration, it's the most repulsive thing imaginable to her. It doesn't communicate value. It doesn't communicate affection. It communicates suffocation. It validates her decision to exit. It reinforces everything she rationalized about the incompatibility. Want the actual reason she left? Not her stated reason, the genuine reason. You transformed into someone unrecognizable from who she initially desired. At some point, you converted her into your singular focus. You abandoned your independent existence. You neglected your ambitions. You isolated yourself from your circle. You discontinued the activities that generated your appeal. You became monotonous. You became effortless. You became unexciting. And I recognize that's painful to process. I recognize your thinking, but my devotion was pure. I was demonstrating my commitment. I comprehend. But devotion without direction is imprisonment. Focus without substance is desperation. And somewhere within that partnership, you stopped presenting a challenge and became an expectation. Now, here's your new approach, and concentrate, because stop chasing. Immediately, this transforms everything. You're going to become emotionally unavailable, not in presence, in attachment. You're going to construct such a compelling existence, such a captivating reality, such a powerful sense of direction that she becomes a minor detail in your narrative, not the entire story. I'm not suggesting pretense. I'm not suggesting fabricated happiness on platforms. I'm not suggesting pursuing others purely for her reaction. That's juvenile strategy. That's immature behavior. I'm suggesting authentically creating an existence so satisfying that her potential return becomes secondary to your contentment. But my desire is her return you're considering, I understand, and that's precisely why she's absent. Your longing is the obstacle. Your dependency is the obstacle. Your inability to release is the obstacle. Here's the paradox that will revolutionize your existence. The instant you authentically stop requiring her return is precisely when she'll desire it. The moment you become genuinely detached from her presence in your existence, you become magnetic once more. The second you discover contentment independently, she'll begin reconsidering her choice. Why? Because women gravitate toward men who don't require them, not men who don't desire them, men who don't require them. There's a distinction. A man who desires a woman but doesn't require her radiates confidence. A man who requires a woman but masks it is obvious. And a man who authentically doesn't require external validation, that's exceptional. That's compelling. That's attractive. So, your responsibility currently, your singular why pulling away creates attraction responsibility is becoming that man, not for her return, but because you deserve it, because you merit freedom from emotional codependency, because your contentment should never depend on someone else selecting you. And here's the sequence. When you execute this, she's going to observe, not immediately, but inevitably. She's going to witness you flourishing. She's going to discover through shared connections that you're excelling. She's going to examine your presence online and witness a man advancing, not stagnating. And something will transform in her perception. The man she abandoned, the excessively available, overly predictable, emotionally reliant one, he's disappeared. And replacing him is someone unfamiliar, someone concentrated, someone constructing, someone not suspended in anticipation. And that's going to activate something within her. Not affection, not initially intrigue, uncertainty, remorse. She's going to question if she miscalculated. She's going to measure every potential partner against you. She's going to recall the positive experiences. She's going to downplay the negative. She's going to convince herself she was excessively critical, excessively impulsive, excessively negative, and then she's going to initiate contact. Now, this is where the majority of men sabotage everything. This is where all your discipline, all your development, all your advancement evaporates in 5 seconds of vulnerability. She transmits a message. Perhaps it's informal. Hey, how have you been? Perhaps it's sentimental. I was remembering that time we... Perhaps it's explicit. I miss you. And your pulse accelerates. Your hands tremble. The power of masculine self-control thoughts spiral. Every impulse screams, she's returned, it succeeded. Respond immediately. Don't pause. Take multiple breaths. Take 24 hours if necessary, because your reaction at this instant determines everything. Here's what you avoid. You don't expose your emotions. You don't express how much you've longed for her. You don't request a meeting. You don't reference the partnership. You don't behave like this message is salvation. Because if you respond that way, you demonstrate nothing has changed. You demonstrate you're still the dependent person she left. You demonstrate all your growth was theatrical, a strategy for reconciliation, and she'll lose respect immediately. Instead, you respond like a man who's genuinely advanced. You're cordial, but concise. You're pleasant, but not desperate. You recognize her message, but you don't pursue continuation. Hey, I've been good. Staying busy. Hope you're well. That's it. No inquiries, no invitation to extend the dialogue, no emotional manipulation, just a straightforward, respectful acknowledgement. And then you resume your existence. You don't fixate on your device awaiting her reply. You don't interpret her intentions. You don't capture the exchange and consult friends about your next move. You allow it to settle. You allow her to experience your indifference. You allow her to feel what occurs when you're not pursuing. Because here's her mental process. She initiated contact anticipating the previous version of you. She anticipated eagerness. She anticipated you exactly where she departed you waiting, and act like you've already moved on. When you're not, when you're casual and unaffected, it destabilizes her. Now she's questioning, now she's analyzing, now she's experiencing uncertainty. Why isn't he more enthusiastic? Has he genuinely progressed? Is someone else involved? Did I hesitate too long? These contemplations will consume her. These questions will dominate her thoughts, and that's when the genuine transformation occurs. That's when she transitions from casual contact to actively desiring your return. But you must exercise patience. You must maintain strength. You must trust this method. She might contact you again. She might suggest meeting. She might confess she's been contemplating you. And every occasion, every single occasion, you respond from abundance, not scarcity. You respond like a man with alternatives. You respond like someone who values tranquility above any partnership. I appreciate you reaching out. I've got a lot going on right now, but maybe we can catch up sometime. Notice what you're executing here. You're not declining, but you're not accepting either. You're creating space, but you're not pursuing. You're demonstrating interest, but you're not demonstrating requirement. This is the interaction. This is the approach, not manipulation, but authenticity from strength. Now, let's address something vital, something the majority of men completely overlook. Even if she returns, even if she's pleading for another opportunity, even if she's expressing everything appropriate, you must evaluate whether you genuinely desire her return. I recognize that seems absurd currently. I recognize you're thinking, obviously, I desire her return. That's the objective. But listen carefully. The man you're becoming, the man you're constructing, the man you're developing into, he has criteria, he has limitations, he has self-respect, and he mistakes that push her further away, doesn't accept someone simply because they're available. You must ask yourself difficult questions. Why did she depart? Was it your behavior or her personal challenges? If your behavior, have you authentically transformed or are you performing? If her challenges, has she addressed them or is she merely lonely? How did she treat you during the partnership? Did she respect you? Did she support your ambitions? Did she extract your excellence? Or did you constantly attempt proving your value? Why is she returning now? Is it because she authentically recognizes your worth or because her alternatives failed? Is it because she's developed or because she's bored? These questions matter. These questions distinguish men from boys because a boy accepts any woman demonstrating interest. A man evaluates whether she merits access to his existence. Here's the standard you require. She must enhance the existence you've constructed, not complete it, not rescue it, not center it. She must enhance what you've already created. If she doesn't, if she'll simply drag you into previous patterns, if she'll demand you sacrifice your advancement for her comfort, if she's anticipating the identical person she abandoned, then she's unprepared. And honestly, you shouldn't desire her. This is where genuine power originates, not from her return, but from willingness to decline if it's inappropriate. Not from making her pursue you, but from genuinely not requiring her. Not from manipulation, but from such powerful self-knowledge that you won't compromise it for anyone. And when you function from this position, everything transforms because now you're not negotiating from desperation. You're not pleading for selection. You're evaluating whether she's worthy of being selected. And that emotional detachment explained, energetic transformation, that framework transformation, that's what makes you genuinely irresistible. Let's discuss what you should actually execute during this period, not for her return, but for self-reinstruction. I don't acknowledge excuses. I don't acknowledge busyness. I don't acknowledge lack of motivation. You must move your body daily, join a fitness facility, begin running, adopt a sport, execute something that induces perspiration, that challenges you, that forces you beyond comfort zones. Why? Because your physical condition affects your mental condition. When you're physically weak, you're mentally weak. When you're disciplined physically, you're disciplined mentally. When you appear better, you feel better. And when you feel better, you carry yourself differently, and she will observe. When she witnesses you, whether personally or digitally, she'll witness a man who maintained himself, a man who didn't collapse without her, a man who converted pain into fuel, not poison. What are you constructing? What are you advancing toward? What motivates you beyond checking for her messages? You require a mission, an objective, an existence reason unrelated to romantic validation. Perhaps it's your profession, perhaps it's an enterprise, perhaps it's a creative endeavor, perhaps it's acquiring a new capability. I don't specify what, but you require something that excites you more than contemplating her return, because when you have purpose, you have power. When you have direction, you have confidence. When you're constructing something meaningful, you stop fixating on what you lost and start concentrating on what confidence she can feel you're creating. Reconnect with your friends, the ones you neglected during your relationship, the ones who attempted alerting you about losing yourself, the ones who genuinely care about your welfare. Exit your home, experience life, create memories, laugh, exist. Stop remaining home, scrolling through previous images and questioning her activities. Enter the world and remind yourself that existence exceeds one person, and simultaneously interact with other women, not for her jealousy, not for proving you've progressed, but for reminding yourself she's not the singular woman existing, that others will appreciate you, value you, select you. You don't require dating them. You don't require intimacy with them. Just interact, flirt. Remember what having alternatives feels like. Remember what being desired feels like. Remember that your value isn't determined by one person's departure decision. Address your challenges, the insecurities that generated clinginess, the fears that generated jealousy, the wounds that generated neediness. Pursue therapy if necessary, read literature, consume podcasts, execute the internal work. Because if you reconcile without self-repair, you'll simply repeat identical patterns. You'll enter identical traps, you'll commit identical mistakes, and she'll depart again. And it will hurt exponentially worse. The second occurrence. But if you utilize this period for authentic healing, authentic growth, authentic self-improvement, then regardless of her return, you succeed because you'll be a complete man, not a fractured man. A whole man, not a man seeking completion. The moment she starts missing you, here's what the majority of men don't comprehend about attraction. It's not rational, it's not equitable, it's not based on devotion, intensity, or compatibility, or shared history. Attraction is based on sensation. And the sensation women are most attracted to is being with a man who doesn't require them, not a man who doesn't care. Not a man who mistreats them, not a man who ignores them, a man who authentically possesses such a rich, fulfilling existence that their presence is supplementary, not essential. That's the energy that captivated her initially. Remember, you had your independent existence, your circle, your objectives. You weren't contemplating partnerships. You weren't seeking completion. You were simply existing, and she entered your path, and she sensed that. She sensed your independence. She sensed your confidence. She sensed your purpose, and it attracted her magnetically. But then what occurred? You became comfortable. You became attached. You began prioritizing her. You began organizing your existence around her availability. You began seeking her approval for decisions. You began requiring her validation for self-worth. And gradually that magnetic energy vanished. That attractive independence faded. That confident purpose became replaced with anxious attachment, and she sensed that too. She sensed you clinging, she sensed you pursuing, she sensed you requiring, and it repelled her. So now you must return to that original condition, but not as performance, not as strategy, as become the man. She regrets losing authentic return to your genuine identity. A man with existence, a man with purpose, a man with alternatives. When you become that man again, when you genuinely embody that energy again, she won't resist returning. It's not sorcery, it's not manipulation, it's simply attraction mechanics. You'll be the challenge again, you'll be the prize again. You'll be the man she must earn, not the man pleading for selection, and that transformation changes everything. So, here's your execution plan. Stop pursuing, stop anticipating, stop hoping, start constructing. Construct your physique. Construct your profession, construct your purpose, construct your existence, construct yourself into a man so complete, so confident, so fulfilled that her return becomes an alternative, not a requirement. And when she returns, because she will, if you execute this correctly, you'll evaluate her from strength. You'll determine if she fits your existence. You'll establish the conditions. You'll create the boundaries, not because you're manipulating, but because you've genuinely developed into a man who recognizes his value. That's the pathway, that's the process, that's how you become irresistible. Subscribe to this channel if you're prepared to become that man. We're final wake-up message. Constructing a community of men who prioritize themselves, who recognize their value, who refuse settling for less than they deserve. Click that button now. Your transformation initiates today. And remember, she will return, but by the time she does, you'll be so concentrated on your purpose, so committed to your growth, so invested in your journey that her return will just be a pleasant surprise, not salvation. That's genuine power. That's genuine confidence. That's genuine attraction.